What's mine is mine, and mine and mine, and mine and mine and mine, not yours.
Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with an action figure that I never thought I would get in my collection, and I hunted forever when I first heard that it was announced. Today we're going over the DC Direct Blackest Night Series 3 Orange Lantern Larfleeze. And we're going to put him on the spinner now, because I remember when this figure came out, when it was announced, I looked everywhere from local comic shops to Walmart, and even at the time, Hastings, oh man, do I miss Hastings, were releasing the Blackest Night figures, and that's how I was able to get a hold of St. Walker and a majority of the others. But I searched all over town, 4 or 5 different comic shops, everything that I could think of, 5 or 6 Hastings, never ever saw this figure. And so I went online and in box, even to this day, I think, 14 years later, because this came out in 2009, the price tag for in box is ridiculous. So at least when I was on eBay, got a decent price for a loose figure. So the only thing I'm missing is the box. Everything else here you see is complete. Now, if you want to pick this up, with all that said, first and foremost, support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to pick up figures and see if maybe they can get a decent price for you. If not, then you're going to have to go to the secondary market, and I'll tell you what, it's not cheap. I'm seeing ranging right now $120 to $230 for this figure in box. And if you guys have a loose box that you wouldn't mind selling or giving up for this figure, I would appreciate it, because I would love to put him on my wall instead of him banging around loose, because we've talked about that. Now, as you can see, beautifully sculpted and painted figure, and I love that he comes with Glomulus. He was always one of my favorite constructs of the Orange Lanterns. Now, that's not not suffice, but it is to say that with every figure that you buy, there's going to be upsides, downsides, and there are some downsides with this figure, but overall, for me, upsides, and the fact to just have a tangible version of Agent Orange. So with that said, let's get Larfleeze off the spinner and get a closer look at him. Quick backstory. Larfleeze, also known as Agent Orange, was created by Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver. The Orange Lantern Corps is a faction of the emotional spectrum that is associated with greed, or avarice if you want to call it that. Larfleeze's first cameo appearance was DC Universe number 0 from April 2008, and his first full appearance was Green Lantern Volume 4, number 25 from January 2008. Now, Jeff Johns stated at one of the Comic-Cons he came up with the name Larfleeze by combining the words lard and sleaze. Like Johns, I also like this character due to how out of touch he is, because other than greed, emotions have no value to him because they do not provide him with anything material, which, when you think about it, is like the antithesis of what the rest of the emotional spectrum is. Now, Larfleeze is supposedly over 1 billion years old. He was taken from his parents and forced to work as a slave, and due to the cruel environment and deprivation of even the most basic rights, it affected him. And at some point he began to hear the material possessions in the society of the people who he served, begging him to own them. So with that, he eventually escaped and became a thief. And after finding a map to the Vega system to the planet Okara, there, the thieves discovered a temple housing a battery containing the orange light of avarice. After an altercation with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Wow, yeah, I always get that mixed up with the Marvel stuff. Anyway, the Guardians offered a deal with the 2 surviving thieves, one being Larfleeze. In exchange for the mysterious box that the thieves had, the Guardians would trade them the orange light as long as that light remained within the Vega system. And for the safety of others, only one of the 2 thieves would be allowed to keep it. Now, they agreed to the terms. The 2 thieves fought to the death for the right to own the orange light, with Larfleeze emerging victorious. And now another thing, there are no real members of the Orange Lantern Corps aside from the light user. The core members are duplicates or constructs formed by the orange light energy after the original person is consumed and has their identities, their souls essentially, stolen. Such as this member / accessory that Larfleeze comes with. This is Glomulus. Quick backstory On him, he was from Sector 2826, which was Okara. He was created by Jeff Jones and Philip Tan, first appearing in Green Lanterns Volume 4, number 39 from 2009. Yeah, 2009. I said 2008 earlier. He was a tavern cleaner on Okara, allowed out only of his cage to eat whatever food would fall on the floor. Glomulus accidentally got a taste for blood and ate everyone in the tavern. Now, being able to escape, he flees into the woods, discovering Larfleeze Palace, where he is consumed by Bloom, which was one of the constructs. Sadly, Glomulus' identity being stolen turned him into an Orange Lantern Corps member. I highly recommend reading John's pre-Flashpoint run on Green Lantern, as well as Green Lantern Rebirth, especially the preludes building up to Blackest Night, and of course, as I just said, Blackest Night itself. Great reading at the time. And one thing before we really start getting into the figures, the one thing that I loved is as the books dropped, and this was marketing, like decent marketing at the time, when you'd go to buy the books or the figures, like these figures in particular, your comic shop would give you actual emotional spectrum rings. So I have all of the different core member rings, which I should have got them out there in storage. When I dig them out, I'll make sure to take a picture and I'll put it over on the community page for you guys to check out, because each of them were gorgeous, with of course the white ring and the black ring being the hardest to find. Now with Glomulus, I love how he has his little Orange Lantern logo there. And now I'm going to feel absolutely stupid, because before recording this review, I did not know his arms articulated. Like, I had zero idea, and I was just kind of surfing online and saw someone have his arms up, and I went, no freaking way. And well, there you go, he has articulated arms. This is my strong hand. Oh god. Anyway, love the little eyeballs, love that grimacing smile. And if you want to read more about Glomulus, I highly recommend what is that book called with Kyle Rayner leading the Corps, all the different second in commands. I'll have to think about it. I can't remember. I'll put a little thingy down here since my brain's not cooperating. But other than his arms, that's all Glomulus. Oh, no freaking way. His feet articulate. Oh my god. We're discovering things together, y'all. Wow. I have had this figure for almost 14 years and never knew he articulated. What else did he do? Did he do anything else? No. Damn. It'd be kind of cool if his mouth opened up, or if there's like a little button to make him light up. That'd been neat too. But that translucent orange is absolutely gorgeous. The eyeball, mouth, just the disgustingness of him. And he's one of the more funny members of the Corps. Like when he teams up with Kyle Rayner, oh, he's just too funny. And Kyle actually starts to affectionately call him Globby. So that's kind of cute. And just one of my favorite lanterns overall. That's one of the main shining accessories. Very awesome. And then, of course, every figure came with a stand. Has that nice orange tinge to it. Very cool. So if you want to start lighting your figures, you can get that kind of creepy orange going on. Good stuff there. And then what was neat about these, too, is it's in the shape of their different lantern insignia. So, of course, you have the Green Lantern logo, the Avarice logo for Greed, the Sinestro Corps, all the different ones. Just a neat little design, and I'm glad that they made it translucent. That's pretty awesome. The last thing that every figure came with in this line were their own lanterns, which right here, the handle falling off is both a blessing and a curse. Blessing being that if you have a figure whose hand's too wound up like this, you can just take this off and loop it through your hand. But the problem is we just saw damn thing snaps off too much. And I'm glad that they made it loose. But sometimes, like especially Larfleeze, where he doesn't really have any gripping hands, it just very loose. But nonetheless, the sheen on there, that nice shine, looks great. I'm glad that the parts where the light's supposed to be is transparent. And then of course the tops are just color or paint, whatever you want to call it. And I love the way it just reflects in the light. Just gives it this nice glow overall. I kind of wish though, because when you read the Agent Orange arc leading up to Blackest Nights, the lantern's always on fire or illuminated. I wish that they would have given you some effects for that. But again, this is before the craze of the type of action figures that we get now. So for what it is, for its time, I'm thankful and I still love it. So those are the accessories that he comes with, and that's not too bad for a statuesque figure. And I love this look. The sculpt is so damn beautiful. And I love how in the comics when Hal goes against him, he's like, he looks like one of the Muppets. And he starts describing him, since probably because of Disney they couldn't really get too much in it. They said it reminds me of one of the Muppets, which is kind of a generic term, but he compares him to Grover is the long-nosed one, and I think Fozzie Bear, and then he said my favorite was the Frog. So it's just kind of a funny little way to, this tense situation, and we're talking about Muppets. That was funny. I do wish, too, in terms of articulation, that his mouth would open and close, but we still get those creepy, bony teeth. The tusks are amazing. The creepy, just otherworldly look of his head is awesome. His uniform, love all that sheen of orange, matches his lantern. Looks great. I love the Avarice logo. That's one thing about Blackest Night when they introduced all the different members. I love that they all kind of got their own different designs and they're all unique. And of course they have all of their own slogans. So that's awesome. Other than that, legs just straight up orange. Hands look great. Articulation wise, his head can go that way. Head can go that way. Let me do a little focus. And you can kind of see how this tapers off at the neck here. Looks good. Logo here, the way it just kind of starts to blend off into the chest, looks good. Arms can kind of go out. And they can spin 360. You're going to have to warm these guys up there. They are a little tight for sure. Arm stops there, so single jointed. Again, 2009 articulation. Don't miss it. I wish that they would have given him an upper bicep. Oh, he does have... Well, look at the things I'm learning today. But he has that, but no hand articulation other than the spin, but it can't go up or down, which is tragic. That would have been great. No... What do you call this thing? Bicep swivel, no ab crunch. Legs can't go out. Leg can go out that far. And then oddly enough, no butt flap. So he can just go all the way 90 degrees back with a single jointed knee. Nothing can be done about the foot. So again, I think as the person told me when I initially did the Miro review, that these are supposed to be more statuesque, which I get, but I think now I'm spoiled on all this articulation that we're getting, and I'm like, man, I wish we could apply it to these old school figures. So I'd love to see a re-release. But nonetheless, setting the old school articulation aside, this figure is just beautiful. I mean, look at how lanky these dang hands are. They just go down almost gorilla style. But I wish there was more articulation, or even a butterfly thing, because there are a lot of comic covers where he's cradling the lantern going, mine. But look at how much of a gap when you try to do that with the figure. If you want to try to pose him on a shelf, cradling his lantern, you have to kind of get a little bit creative, and it will fall and fall and fall. So you get creative enough, you can kind of get it, but see how with that lack of articulation, we don't really get to recreate that mine, which breaks my heart. But setting that aside, love this figure. Happy I have it, and just have this gorgeous, tangible version of Larfleeze. So I want to put Larfleeze up to next to some of the major characters from the Darkest Nights line. The only ones that are probably missing, well, there's quite a few, but in terms of lanterns, we're missing John Stewart, Kyle Rayner. If you guys can help me down in the comments, I cannot remember her name. The blonde-headed girl that wears the white top. I can't remember her name to save my life. And then, of course, Kilowog, which McFarlane. We have gotten, I think, 2 Hal Jordans? One's a box set, and then there was another one, I think. And then we've gotten 3 John Stewarts. No Kyle Rayner. No, I'm sorry. We got Kyle Rayner. No Guy Gardner. That's the other one I'm thinking of. Long day. But it would just be nice to get like a Green Lantern wave with a Kilowog Build-A-Figure. I would buy that in a heartbeat. We definitely need, or even if it's not a Build-A-Figure, a deluxe like we got with Lobo and what's his name? Darkseid, I almost called him Apocalypse, and all those other, and Necron. It would just be nice to finally have a nice, huge Kilowog, I'd walk around and be like, poser. So that's one that I'm definitely way down that on. Now, with that said, here's the Atrocitus. I don't remember series, so don't quote me on that. But from the same direct DC Blackest Nights line that Larfleeze is from, there's Atrocitus and Hal Jordan. And then this is from the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Blackest Nights Atrocitus Build-A-Figure Wave Kyle Rayner. Now, when you stack him up against Atrocitus and Larfleeze, he looks great. But this is the only thing that sucks about the older DC toys compared to McFarlane is you can see that 6-inch to 7-inch difference. It's just like, damn it. So that means I'm going to have to get another Hal Jordan. But still, even though he kind of articulates for crap, and this one's awesome, I'm happy to have both of them. And if you're just going to do shelf posing, of course, as I've said before, just do some depth of field, and it's going to be no thing like a chicken wing. Yes, that's an old saying. And you'll be good to go. But I'd love to see a re-release of Larfleeze. I need to break down and get a, yeah. And I can't wait to dive into that Build-A-Figure of him. That's going to be so exciting. But yeah, when these first came out, oh man, did I dive deep into the paint for these figures because they just looked so good. And I've been a long time Green Lantern fan, and Blackest Nights and all the build up to it, introducing Atrocitus and Larfleeze and the Indigo Tribe and Saint Walker with the Blue Lantern Corps and how Ganthet started that up. It was just a time to be a Green Lantern fan. Though I hate the tease that they did with Batman, because that was right around the time Grant Morrison's RIP was, and we're not going to get into all that. When we do the Blackest Night wave, when we do the zombie Batman, I'll talk more in depth. But with that said, as I just said, depth of field on your shelf, you're going to be fine. I would love to see photos of your shelves, dioramas, as well as your action figure photography over on our social media pages. I absolutely love this figure. Now, when I reviewed the Red Lantern Mirror, I complained about the articulation, which he has the same problems that we went over. And I was talking to some people, and they were talking about how this line was supposed to be more kind of a statue-esque series, which I get, and it makes sense. But now that we have, McFarlane, Hasbro, and all the articulation that we have with more modern figures now, I guess I'm spoiled. Because in hindsight, I didn't mind when I first got him. But now, years later, I'm like, oh man, he needs a thigh cut, and he needs a waist swivel, and head needs to be able to move, and yada, yada, yada. So maybe, hopefully, one day McFarlane will release a new Larfleeze. Because right now we have that Atrocitus Build-A-Figure wave, and I can't wait to go over that. Because a nice Atrocitus upgrade will always be welcomed. Nonetheless, if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, I highly recommend you picking it up. And as I said at the beginning of the review, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or whatever little local community thing that you go to pick up your comics and books. If not, again, I hope you can get them for a good deal online, especially in box. And again, if you guys have the loose box that you wouldn't mind getting rid of or selling, hit me up because I would love to put him back in the box when I'm done with him so he doesn't get ruined. And now, if you guys have enjoyed the review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Agent Orange bell next to subscribe, that way we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.